Hey, Cross Park, I'm coming to you today with what we call the State of Cross Park. Typically, we do this in the spring sometime. Summer just started, so we'll call it close enough. But I want to give you some updates on where we are and where we're going. You know, we've been doing this much more regularly during COVID as things have been so topsy-turvy. As life is moving back a little bit more towards normal now, we wanted to do something that we normally do, which is to communicate about where we've been and where we're going. Most of you know that our 10-year anniversary we celebrated April 25th together in the parking lot. And one of the things we did was to think back about where we've been. How has God been at work in and through us? What's he been calling us to do? And so what I want to do today for a few moments is to replay a little bit of where we've been and then think about where we're going. FYI, I did a short version of this last Sunday, Memorial Day weekend, in the parking lot. So if you didn't see it, great. If you were with us this Sunday, this is more information. There's a little more background, context, and details in this video. Well, in 2018 and 2019, we ran a generosity initiative, which was a way to raise both money and vision for a variety of ministry initiatives. And we talked about it in terms of people, place, and proclaim. Those were the categories we raised money in. And we ended up bringing in about $2.2 million during those 2 years. And some of the ways that we've invested that money in ministry is first in Proclaim. We sent out Cross Covenant Chinese Church and have helped fund them and been pleased to be their mother church. Also at the end of Thrive, we were introduced to Jose Portillo, and we joined a couple of other our local churches here in the Presbytery to plan to plant Vive Charlotte, and I'm pleased to announce that Jose is ordained and is going to be planting Vive Charlotte in Northeast Charlotte officially this fall. We also invested money in our own people so that because people minister to people. So we were able to hire Will Milks as our worship director. We hired Trisha Hardy as our part-time women's ministry coordinator. We expanded our administrative role for Aaron Martinson, and we added a youth director role, which now, just recently, we announced on a Sunday morning that we've hired Spencer Johnson in a 3/4 time role as the youth director. So we invested a lot of this money already in Proclaim and people stuff, but the biggest category, the biggest chunk of the money we raised, $800,000, was for place. And our goal is to begin to build some capital fund so that we'll have the ability to move into a more permanent location when that place comes available. And then COVID hit. You know, we'd actually just met together on a Sunday night at Christ Covenant to celebrate what God had done through the Thrive initiative, and then COVID hit and everything changed. And so for the first 6 months or so of COVID, we were not able to do much in the way of looking for property. As you know, we were not even meeting together for the first 3.5 months of COVID. And then late June last summer, we began to meet outside together at the parking lot at RTS. And so here we are about a full year later, and we're still in the parking lot. Where are we going? What are the plans? You know, we decided to wait through the winter as COVID numbers were increasing and as there weren't a lot of great options for us to move inside. We decided to stay outside, but we aren't staying outside forever. We are not planning to be cross parking lot church. We are hoping to move to a more permanent facility. So what do you need to know as we think about all of this? I've got 3 big categories for you to think about today. First, we are called to continue with the mission of Him we proclaim. Our work as a church has not changed at all. I mean, circumstances and location can tweak how you do things, but our basic call to worship God, to care for one another, and to move out into our city and into the world with the gospel, that hasn't changed, not a bit. And so we continue to believe that the thing that everyone needs all the time is the gospel. And so we want to continue to worship the God who's given us the gospel and given us grace, to do that together as we experience the grace of the gospel, and to offer that gospel to those around us. That's always the work of the church. That's always people's biggest need. And so that's what we're called to do, to continue to engage in the mission and lean into the loving the people around us. I think even coming out of COVID, there are going to be people who, because of their COVID experience, are going to be more open to their own spiritual need than they ever have been before. So we're called to continue the mission of the church. Secondly, we don't know where we're going to be long term. That's just the truth of it. We still believe what we believed through all of Thrive, that God is likely calling us to a more permanent location. Again, until we have it, we don't know that for sure, but we really believe that's what he's calling us to do. That's what we raised money for. And we believe in a place like South Charlotte, where people buy houses and settle down, we will be able to minister even more effectively if we have a place. However, COVID and the parking lot have helpfully tweaked some of this for us. It's helped us realize what I just said, that the mission of the church is always the same regardless of place, and that sometimes we just have to wait on the Lord. And so that's the spot we're in right now. We're waiting. Now, we have reformed our facility search team. They're now called the Home Team, and they've been working actively on finding a long-term location. We've actually looked at a number of places, but none of them have been the right place or the right time or the right price. We currently have a number of possibilities. Again, none of them are firm enough to really share them with you, though, as I'll tell you, we want you to pray for the right place. But we're working hard. The real estate, as you know right now, the market is really hot and difficult to jump into. And so we haven't found the right place yet. But we're in a good position in the sense that we're primed as much as we can to be able to move into a good place. We have our giving for the first 4 months of 2021 is almost exactly the same as it was for 2020, despite COVID. We're right on target with budget and so forth. And we now have a little over $1.1 million in our facility fund. So the time and the place, we haven't found it yet, but we are praying and hoping that we will be able to find that soon. Now, the reality is that if we find a place tomorrow, we probably still will need a little time to get into it. And as life moves back towards more and more normality as we head into the fall, and particularly if we don't yet have a long-term place that we've been able to identify, we know it's going to be a little weird, or maybe weirder, stranger, to still be in the parking lot. So we know that realistically, there's probably going to be a medium-term bridge location between the parking lot and a true long-term facility. We don't know what that will be yet, and we ask you to pray for that. But we want to say we're so thrilled by what God has done in us and through us in the parking lot, and we know there's a long-term place that he wants to move us towards. We just don't yet know what that is. So hang in there, be patient with us as we're trying to be patient with the process, and we will let you know as soon as we have something more to share. Which leads us to my final comment. We have decided one of the things we want to do this summer is to have a focused prayer initiative called Devoted to Prayer. So you're going to be getting emails from us every Wednesday, and the title will be Devoted to Prayer. And we'll have a few prayer prompts and prayer requests at a minimum. We may occasionally include videos or other things with those emails, but we're going to ask you to pray, and we're going to send particular things to you so that on your own, in your family, in small group, discipleship group, whatever it is, you can pray for the work of Crosspark, and you can pray for it in a more focused and regular way. We're also going to have 3 prayer events, one June, one July, one August, to get together and to pray. So, of course, we're going to pray for a wide variety of things, but I want to give you some reminders of how you can be praying even now, and they're in the same categories as we did for Thrive: place, proclaim, and people. First, pray for the place. Yes, pray that we would find the right place at the right time. Also pray that we'd be wise and patient as we go through the process. Pray for that medium-term bridge location if we need to do that, that we will know what and when to move from the parking lot. And most importantly, I think, pray that the Lord will work in us and through us as we wait for the right place. Secondly, proclaim. We're in Ephesians 6 for the whole month of June here as we finish up the book of Ephesians. And in Ephesians 6, Paul asks them to pray for him that he'll proclaim the gospel boldly as he ought. And so that's what we want to pray for, that we will, as Crosspark, look for and find opportunities that will take those opportunities and we'll be able to proclaim the gospel boldly. And finally, people. Pray that as a church, we'll be really good at loving people well, that we'll love people both outside and inside the church, that will show the grace and the mercy of the gospel that we have received. God has been very faithful to us through the pandemic, and here we're on the back end, and we're looking forward to what he might do next, even though we don't know, of course, all of what that's going to be. I want to thank you for giving, for praying, for continuing to lean into the work of the church. We really do believe that there are great things ahead of us, and that God wants to continue to work to reveal his kingdom in and through Cross Park Church. We want to engage our hearts in prayer this summer, be devoted to prayer so that he can lead our hearts. He can give us direction. He can lead us to the right place at the right time, while all the while proclaiming the good news of Jesus Christ so people in South Charlotte and around the world can thrive in the gospel. Well, Cross Park, thank you for your time. Thanks for listening today. I hope this is helpful and encouraging to you, and we'll see you on Sunday.